assault and batteries, but my trunk stay ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Alright, today's video is going to be my favorite WrestleMania cities that I've attended. And in total, I've been to 7 WrestleManias in 6 different cities. And I've made a little ranked list of the cities I enjoyed based on enjoyment outside of the show itself. But if it's your first time checking out this channel, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And constant WrestleMania videos, especially leading up to the big event in like 3 weeks. So number 6 on the list is WrestleMania 28 in Miami. And mind you, this was one WrestleMania I was looking so forward to, especially being 2012. I was like in the peak of my Jersey Shore phase. And one of the highlights of the whole trip I was looking forward to was going to the gelato shop that the cast of Jersey Shore worked at. And mind you, I was like 21 or 22 years old, so I can drink, obviously legally, but I wasn't, I don't think I was mature enough to go to Miami and really enjoy what the city had to offer at that age of 21 or 22. And especially during that time, the first 2 years of going to WrestleMania, I was just so engulfed in just doing things only wrestling related. It didn't really come till later on that we decided to do things outside of your typical WWE or like wrestling related activities. And yeah, literally from the time we arrived to the city to the time we left, WrestleMania 27 and WrestleMania 28 was basically access any sort of indie show we can go to, WrestleCon, Wrestle Reunion, um, Raw, SmackDown, Hall of Fame, anything wrestling related, we were there. So for me to really rank this any more than the last place would be kind of unfair considering we didn't do too much when it came to outside of wrestling things. But mind you, the wrestling trip itself was great. It was my favorite WrestleMania I've been to. But when it came to outside of wrestling activities, Miami was definitely at the bottom of the list. Didn't really do much aside from the gelato shop. We drove through South Beach, never really got out of the car, never really went to any beaches, never tried any local food. It was literally McDonald's, Access Pizza. But yeah, very, very standard trip. No outside of like wrestling activities going on at all. Number 5, very similar to number 6, is Atlanta for WrestleMania 27. Now, this was my first WrestleMania, and I was just so excited to like be in Atlanta and experience what the WrestleMania magic was all about. We stayed just outside of Atlanta. We were in Duluth, Georgia, which I want to say was about 45 minutes to an hour outside of the WrestleMania city, Atlanta itself. I don't recall honestly doing anything that was not wrestling related, minus like the couple hours we had in between shows. We checked out a Walmart, I remember, just before the Hall of Fame. Like, sorry, the morning of the Hall of Fame, because it was at the time you had a dress code. They wanted you to dress in like semi-formal, so you needed a dress shirt at least to get in. And so we made like a Walmart trip at like 3 a.m. But other than that, that was one of the times. And then also I remember checking out the CNN building before Raw started, which I think we just had like lunch at the CNN building, and then we kind of walked around just seeing like whatever that building had going on. But other than that, Atlanta was wrestling related from Thursday when I flew in to Monday. Um, and then we did 2 things, which again, like this is what puts it over Miami, is we went to the Chris Benoit house, which was the infamous, like probably one of the craziest things I'll ever do in my life. And then we also went to again, it was a book signing, but it wasn't like a wrestling. Actually, no, it was a Road Warrior Animal. It was a wrestler book signing, but it wasn't like wrestling related. It was weird. I wouldn't consider it a wrestling thing, but it was a wrestling thing. And that was the morning of um, the Monday, so right after WrestleMania, the morning after. But if you really want to be technical about it, that whole trip was wrestling. But we went to the Chris Benoit house, which is another like that could even be higher, but I think it was like it's a good spot. Number 5. Number 4 is Dallas, Texas, WrestleMania 32. Now at this point, we've already hit our stride. We already know like kind of what to do for WrestleMania, where to go, what to see. And with Dallas, it came with a lot of hype. It came with a lot of like, we can do so much in this city. And I remember Miguel was so amped about going to Dallas because like, I don't know if he's been before, but I've never seen someone so excited to go to a city. Like ever since like, out of all the WrestleManias we've been to, I think WrestleMania 32 had to have been the most talked about, the most hype, the most anticipation going into it. But when we got there, maybe the wrestling part didn't live up to what the hype was, but I feel like outside of doing wrestling stuff, we had a great time. I remember we went to a Dallas Mavericks game as soon as we flew in. We did the JF Kennedy, like the whole assassination area. We did that whole tour. We went to a lot of local food spots, and I'm pretty sure to this day, the best barbecue I've ever had was in Dallas, Texas. And those three things alone just made up for a trip that was a little bit mediocre, but overall, Dallas has a lot to offer outside of like the wrestling scene that we were in. And I think we took as much advantage of it as we could, considering we only had so much time in between all the shows. But a great city nonetheless. It wasn't our favorite wrestling trip, but it was definitely up there for our favorite non-wrestling, just living our normal life trip. Number three is WrestleMania 29, which would be considered New York and New Jersey. And I think this goes without saying. When you're in in the biggest city in North America, it's there's so much to do. There was so much going on. It didn't matter if you were in New Jersey, didn't matter if you're in New York, if you were in Midtown, downtown, wherever. There's always something going on, especially during WrestleMania weekend. And I remember going to a New York Rangers game during that WrestleMania. I went to uh, Times Square. We saw the World Trade Center Memorial. It was my first time going to New York City as well. So for me to like experience the madness that is New York City for the first time and have WrestleMania on top of that, it was definitely memorable. And it was one of those things that I didn't even get to do everything I wanted to do. So I've been to New York three times now in total. And that first time was just so memorable because it was so much to take in all at once and to have it all topped off with a wrestling trip. And not to mention the wrestling stuff that was going on was something to this day, I've never experienced like a more stacked wrestle reunion, wrestle con in my life. You had Hulk Hogan, you had Ultimate Warrior in the same day within hours of each other. I met Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels like beside each other, and I met the Undertaker during that WrestleMania. It was just you're in the heart and soul of like professional wrestling in New York City, and now I realize why WWE calls New York City their home because that whole city was just taken over by WWE, and you can really tell the impact that wrestling has on New York itself. Number two is Santa Clara, WrestleMania 31. Now, this one, it was my first time going to the West Coast, so that in of itself was amazing. And I remember as soon as we pulled in, I went to the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. So for me, like that was one thing checked off the bucket list. And other than that, there wasn't like too much non wrestling stuff going on because we were staying in San Jose. We were kind of outside of San Francisco, but that whole first day, I remember we flew in early just so we can spend a day in San Francisco. And we all met up. We went to the Golden Gate Bridge. We just went around the marina area, got some food, and it was our first time really seeing each other in a year. But that city has so much to offer itself. And then it was really topped off on the Monday where we went to the Santa Clara Boardwalk, which was like a little amusement park, and it was so fun going. We basically went like on roller coasters together for a whole afternoon. Weather was great. It was the day after WrestleMania. We were all on a high from seeing Seth Rollins cash in his Money in the Bank, and another one of those things that if I were to make like a top five most memorable WrestleMania, which I probably will now that I'm talking about it, but that is definitely up there as like the most memorable times we've had on a WrestleMania trip. And number one, I think it goes without saying that New Orleans, WrestleMania 30 and 34, the best time just because of that one street, Bourbon Street. And if I were to even take that out, the WrestleMania trips we've been on, we've done little local bars around town. We went to the French Quarter. We did a New Orleans Pelicans game. Just a great time. Great city, great people, great food. But again, when you think of wrestling, you think of WrestleMania, you think of just an environment that is like no words can describe the feeling, the atmosphere that Bourbon Street has at all times, especially at night. But it was like we with the first night we flew into WrestleMania 34, we went to Bourbon Street. That's where I lost my voice for three-quarters of that trip. I think I lost it on the Wednesday or Thursday, and then I regained it on the day of WrestleMania. So I was able to scream when Jinder Mahal won the United States title, or the Intercontinental title. And yeah, just insane. And So many good stories, so many great moments. Steve and I have an article that like got published from like one of our Instagram posts because we were just on cloud nine and we were just acting like total delinquents in our little Triple H Berry shirts. And any moment I can get back, like I wish I could relive. It's going to Bourbon Street with those guys. 30 and 34. I think those 4 years really we matured so much. So I was 24 at the time, and then I was 28 the second time around. But just an incredible time. And I think, and I hope that WrestleMania goes back to New Orleans just so, you know, Unc Ravi can like go back and relive his childhood and just an amazing time. So that's the video. That's my top 6 list of my favorite WrestleMania cities, and I'll see you guys in the next video.